Hello gamers, how are we doing today? Hope everyone is doing well. Today I want to talk about something that is near and dear to me, physical game collecting on Xbox and how bad of a state it's in. So recently I tried to pick up two different games, Toxic Commando and Persona 3 Reload, which both of them I figured would be fairly easy to find. However, that was not the case. Toxic Commando was available at one GameStop that was half an hour away from me, and Persona 3 was available at a different GameStop, also half an hour away from me. Probably about a year or so ago, there was news rolling around that Xbox was basically pulling a lot of their stuff from stores. I don't remember if that was an Xbox side thing or a retailer side thing, but basically all of the stuff, all the stores that were stocking Xbox games, they just kind of stopped. Best Buy doesn't really carry anything anymore. Target carries absolutely nothing. And Walmart, funny enough, is the one that has the most near me, but even that's not a great selection. And I mean, I don't really ever think of buying games when I'm at Walmart for whatever reason, so that's not really a viable option either. But Best Buy's the one that's craziest to me. And I pre-ordered Resident Evil 9 from there, so I assume that they're still doing pre-orders, but it's not looking good as far as being able to walk into retail stores anymore and just pick up games, which is very disheartening because that's one of my favorite things about going to a retail store is just browsing the selection and seeing what they have. I remember as a kid, like after church or something, my parents would take me to Best Buy and we'd walk around and there'd be dozens upon dozens of PlayStation 2 games, Xbox games, GameCube games. It kind of dates me how old I am. Imagine you're a kid and you just got a bunch of Best Buy or Target gift cards for your birthday or Christmas, and you're going to go in and you're going to pick up an Xbox. You're going to go get the new Series X, excited, and you want to walk out with some games. But guess what, little Timmy? You're not getting shit. It'd be crazy to see how much has declined over the last 15, 20 years as far as physical stuff goes. I mean, obviously, there's the onset of digital media and how basically everything is switching to that, which you would think would make things cheaper, but it hasn't. It's still the same price. You're still paying $70 to $80 for the exact same title, despite not getting a case, despite not getting cover art, despite not getting a disc or a manual or anything like that. So the uptick in the price doesn't really justify itself, and a lot of the stuff, it's not fully a gold master on the disc. With Switch, a lot of these things are just key cards now. As it stands right now, Amazon and GameStop are the only two really reliable places to get new games, but even when I was in GameStop pre-ordering Crimson Desert, the guy there was like, yeah, it's a good thing you're pre-ordering this because when it came to Resident Evil, I only got like 2 copies for Xbox, and those were both pre-orders, and I got over a dozen extra copies for PlayStation, which is crazy because I worked at GameStop like 10, 12 years ago, and we would get boxes of pretty much any new game that was coming out, at least probably 12 to 20 copies of any sort of new game that was AAA or even AA, but that wasn't really as prevalent at the time. But for the most part, AAA titles, we'd get well more than enough for anyone to walk in on release day or a couple days afterwards and just pick up a new copy without having to worry about it. Now, if you're not pre-ordering stuff, you're kind of shit out of luck, but there's also the double-edged sword of pre-ordering, and not everything's going to be great or complete at release. But I guess that's kind of the risk you have to take if you want your physical stuff. You either don't get it or you get something that could be broken. Amazon, on the other hand, they used to be really good at shipping pre-orders out on time. I used to use them fairly often to get my pre-orders, but they became unreliable, sometimes shipping 2-3 days after release. So it's like, I don't want this on day one, but that's just not going to happen anymore. So I try to use Amazon only if things are like super discounted and they have like the 2-day shipping. Otherwise, I'll look around and see if a local used game store has something. Those are fine typically for older titles, but even newer titles and quite a bit of Xbox titles for that matter are harder to find there as well, because for whatever reason, Xbox Series X and Xbox One games are much, much scarcer than PlayStation. Then the other issue that's sort of plaguing physical Xbox games is them just getting skipped entirely. So earlier this year, Final Fantasy VII Remake finally released on Xbox, which is fantastic, but it didn't get a physical release. Switch did, however, which is kind of fucked, but thank you, Square. And then same with Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 remasters, and the Pixel remaster. All of those skipped Xbox for whatever reason, but they got physical releases on the Switch. So Not really sure why Square doesn't want to print games for Xbox. I'd buy them. I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there that would buy them, right? And then 16, I don't think got a physical release for Xbox or Switch, so that's its own can of worms. But Rebirth is set to come out here in June, and it doesn't look like there is a physical release for Xbox for that one either. I don't know if there's one for Switch. I'd have to double check on that. But hopefully when Part 3 comes out, they'll either do a 3-pack like PlayStation did for Remake and Rebirth on the PS5, or they'll just put all three on one disc or something like that. But having something physical to represent Final Fantasy VII on Xbox would be nice. It is a huge entry in the Final Fantasy series, and it's basically just digital only, which is unfortunate. Seems a lot of smaller indie titles also get physical releases on like the Switch or the PlayStation, but they skip Xbox as well. Nothing specific comes to mind. I just feel like in browsing, I've seen things that like they could be on Xbox, but they're not. They're just physically in stores on Switch or PlayStation. I think Hades might be one of them. I'm not sure if it's on Switch or PlayStation, but I'm fairly positive that it's not on Xbox. But that's just another one of those titles that it's like, it would be cool to have on the shelf, but it's just probably not going to happen. Obviously, these games releasing on Xbox after the long wait is a huge step in the right direction as far as getting everyone sort of in sync with third party, because the treatment that Xbox was getting from third party studios there for a while was pretty bullshit. I think Phil did some work there to basically get a lot of these Japanese developers on board with releasing their stuff on Xbox. It was really strange, that sort of exclusivity thing that Square had with PlayStation there for a while, where the games were primarily coming to PlayStation and just kind of skipping everyone else, specifically Final Fantasy. But there's still a lot of work to be done as far as getting parity between what sort of treatment Xbox gets versus what Nintendo and PlayStation gets, because the Switch copy of Final Fantasy VII Remake came with, I think, a pack of Magic cards as well, which I don't care about Magic personally, but sure some other Xbox fan out there who wanted the game would have loved to have a pack of cards to come with their game, because games used to do that, right? They used to come with these cool pack-in things, manuals, maps, little keychains, all sorts of stuff games used to come with, and now it's just like, here's an empty case, you get a disc, maybe the game is on it, maybe it's just a download key, but I don't know. Hopefully this is one of the things that Asha Sharma sort of considers when she's doing this whole what do the fans want type thing, right? Maybe she'll work with these developers and these publishers and getting more games pushed out to discs on Xbox, so you can walk into a Target again, or you could walk into a Best Buy or a Walmart and pick up a game a couple days after release, or you could even go into GameStop a couple days after release and pick up a new game and it not be already opened, or just sort of hope that it's there. Even though a lot of the used game stores around me that stock new games, they don't typically have smaller Xbox releases. Like, they'll still have your Battlefields and your CODs and your Maddens, but they're not going to have your Toxic Commandos or anything like that a couple days after release. And hopefully with Gen Z's apparent shift in desire of owning physical media, that also has an impact on sort of how video games are released in the future. Hopefully that sort of spread beyond just DVDs and stuff, and it reaches games as well, because the idea of everything going digital, it sucks. Not owning your stuff is not exactly the ideal way to play, honestly. But what do you think? Do you think Xbox should push to make more of their games physically released, or do you not care? Is it not something that you care about? Or do you just own a Series S? If so, then you're not really going to care if games are released on disc anymore, are you? Feel free to let me know in the comments down below sort of your stance on this. And as always, if you found this video and found it enjoyable, don't hesitate to leave me some feedback, like, comment, subscribe, all that other fun YouTube stuff down below. And I will see you in the next one.